It might seem impossible to learn how to get rich from nothing if you've always thought that rich people either inherited their money or had strong connections that helped them get rich. But a 2019 study by WealthX found that 67.7% of the world's ultra-rich, those with $30 million or more in assets, had made their own money. The fast growth of this group of very wealthy people is even more interesting. In the 2019 report, there were 265,490 very wealthy people. By the 2020 report, there were 290,720, a rise of almost 10%. Two things can be learned from the information above. First, it is possible to get rich from nothing. And second, more and more people are doing the impossible. People today should not daydream about the money they wish they had received. Instead, they should learn the many ways they can make money from nothing. Number 1, educate yourself about money. Our way of thinking is always the first thing that needs to change before we can make bigger changes in our lives. Robert Kiyosaki, a business mogul and author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, said, "Everyone can build a financial ark to survive and thrive in the future. But you need to spend time learning about money in order to build an ark with a strong base. Educating yourself about money is the first thing you need to do to become rich from nothing. Among other things, learn important terms like net worth, return on investment, passive income, and financial freedom. Take classes, read books, listen to podcasts and talks, and read blogs like Sarwar's that teach about money. Remember that learning about money, like learning about anything else, needs to be ongoing. Do not stop learning. But it's important to be careful here. There is a lot of wrong information out there now that financial information is available to everyone. Make sure you only read blogs that you can trust. These blogs will give you real information and point you in the direction of tools from investors, business people, and financial advisors that you can trust. Number 2, get a regular income source. Building wealth from scratch is hard if you don't have a steady source of income. You need to save money before you can spend it, and you can't save money if you don't have a steady income. In other words, multi-level marketing, Ponzi schemes, and betting don't help people get rich over time. Learn to avoid people who talk about easy ways to get rich quickly with only 3 hours of work a week. Creating long-term value is the key to long-term wealth. You can't build lasting wealth if you're not making something valuable and making money from it. If you don't already have a job, here are 13 steps you can take to get one. If you already have a job, keep it. If you own a small business, keep your attention on making things that will last longer. Brian Tracy, a self-help author, said, "All wealth comes from adding value." One way to do this is to create a business plan that can produce more, better, cheaper, faster, and easier than someone else. Number 3, create a budget. Sticking to a budget is very important if you want to learn how to get rich from nothing. With the steady source of income we just talked about, you need to make a budget, usually once a month, to keep track of how you spend your money. A budget is an expected list of how much money you will make and spend over a certain time period. Every person and every family should make a budget at least once a month to plan their expected income and expenses. Going through life without a budget is like going on a trip without a map. You'll definitely get lost in the seas of money mistakes. Number 4, have enough insurance, but don't over-insure. Insurance is something that you should set aside money for. If you insure yourself and your most valuable possessions, cars, homes, etc., you won't lose a lot of money if something bad happens. You should have health insurance at the very least, so that if you get a disease that costs a lot, you don't go bankrupt. Find and compare health insurance plans in the UAE if you don't already have one. Then pick the best one for you. If you own a house and a car, you might want to think about getting insurance for both. Also, think about getting term life insurance if you have kids or other family members who count on you. Building wealth is good, but it will hurt like hell if you lose it because of something you couldn't have predicted. So take the initiative to protect the things that are most important to you. But don't get too much insurance. There are a lot of insurance goods that don't do anything. If there isn't a very good reason to get more, stick to the 4 above. Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba and the richest person in China, once said, "Buying insurance doesn't change your life. It stops your life from changes. Getting insurance won't bankrupt you, but not getting insurance will bankrupt your family and friends." Number 5, practice extreme savings from your income. If you really want to save a lot more money, you'll find that the 50-30-20 rule is a good place to start. Once you decide to get rich, you will be able to cut back on many things in your spending, something other people will do too. There are many towns today that encourage people to save as much money as possible. One of the most well-known movements is FIRE, which stands for Financial Independence Retire Early. They push extreme ways to save money that tell people to put away a huge chunk of their monthly income. One of the people who started the FIRE movement, Jacob Lunk-Fisker, suggested saving 60% to 80% of one's monthly income. He also did it himself. Fisker finally gave up when he was 33 years old. He now lives outside of Chicago on $7,000 a year. Because Fisker and other leaders in the FIRE movement were able to cut back on their own expenses and the consumerism that drives them up, they were able to build big communities. They do this in a number of ways, such as by making things they need, like baking bread or building tables, instead of always buying them. Besides the money, Fisker also feels like he's accomplished something, which he values more than material things. Number 6, build an emergency fund. Making an emergency fund is the next thing you should do to get rich from nothing. Now that you know how to save a big chunk of your income. An emergency fund is like insurance that you pay for yourself. It's money you set away for unplanned costs, like car repairs, and unplanned events, like losing your job or having to stay inside because of a pandemic. When unexpected costs and events happen, you can make things worse by taking on more debt or selling your investment. You have to pay interest on debt, and when you sell an investment, you lose both the money you sold and the interest it could have made by being part of the market. So to escape those two situations, you should learn right away how to start an emergency fund. 3 to 6 months worth of regular bills should be in your emergency fund. Also, put those funds in a savings account that you can easily get to when you need them. An emergency fund, like insurance, won't make you rich, but it will keep you from having to sell your property or take out loans when you need to.